Okay, this is number 10 on 4.3, page 142. So we have these two equations right here, this system of equations. So this one's the quadratic one, that's the linear one, and we're just going to use those same steps. So step 1 said to solve one of the equations for x or y. So I get to pick, do I want to solve for x or do I want to solve for y? And then where do I want to plug things into? So if I solve the bottom equation for x, I'd have to plug some stuff in there, and then I'd have to square it, and I don't like the way that that looks. If I solve for y, then I could just substitute that in right there. So I'm going to try that way. So I want the y alone, so I'm going to rewrite that. So x plus 2y equals 6. I want the y alone. So first I'd have to minus x, then I'd have 2y is equal to 6 minus x, and then divide by 2, because I want the y alone. So then I'd have y is equal to 3 minus x divided by 2. That's going to make things tricky, but it's going to be okay. So now I'm going to replace this whole thing in right there for that y. So I'd have, instead of y minus 5, I'm going to write this. So 3, substituting that in, minus x over 2 minus 5 equals x minus 2 squared. And then now that I'm here, I'm looking at this and seeing that x over 2, and I'm thinking that's looking ugly. So I might want to try a different way. I'm going to continue doing this one, but I'm going to compare it with doing it with solving this one for x, plugging it into there. So I think both of them are going to be a little more complicated than I prefer, but we can do it either way. So now I'm on this one. I am supposed to simplify this using PEMDAS. So PEMDAS says parentheses. So parentheses, nothing, we can't do anything in there. So we're now going to do the exponent. X minus 2 squared is x squared minus 4x plus 4. If you don't know how I got that, you can pause the video and then try on your own doing x minus 2 times x minus 2, because that's what it means. And then at the same time, I'm going to combine these like terms. So I'll have negative x squared, x over 2. 3 minus 5 is negative 2. So like that. I can see I already have the positive x squared, so I'm going to need to move this over there. So it was negative x divided by 2, so I'm going to add x divided by 2 and add 1. Add x divided by 2 and add 1. So I would have, not 1, 2. Wow. So plus 2 and plus 2. So we'd have x squared. I'm going to skip that for a minute, and then plus 6. So then I need to do this stuff. Negative 4x plus 1/2. So if I think of just doing negative 4 plus 1/2, that's the same thing. I can change that negative 4. There's lots of things I can do with this. I can see that it would be negative 3.5, because a half less than 4 is 3.5. And I might, for the sake of making it nicer to do it with my calculator, I might just do negative 3.5. So I'm going to say negative 3.5x. Okay, now I have this thing. I don't like the decimal. I would not want to try to factor that, so I'm not going to. I'm going to use the quadratic formula, where a is 1, b is negative 3.5, and c is 6. So we're going to plug that in to the quadratic formula. So x equals the opposite of b, so that's 3.5. Again, if I'm going too fast, pause the video. 3.5 plus or minus the square root of negative 3.5 squared minus 4 times 1 times 6 times A times C. The whole thing divided by 2 times by 1. And type that into the calculator. So for me typing into the calculator, just so you know, I'm going to use Desmos, and there's not going to be sound on that, or maybe I can put sound in, but probably not sound on that. You'll just see me typing it into Desmos. Okay, so you can see in that video, I got undefined. When I use the calculator, I got undefined. And if you get undefined, then that means that your answer is, it will not cross. The two equations, I should put do not intersect. They do not intersect. So the solution would be no solution. Let me zoom out. Okay, so let's go over the steps that we just did. So we solved one equation for x or y. So I got that one. I plugged it in to the top equation, got that. Combined like terms, and I'm checking as I'm doing this. So let's see, 3 minus 5, okay, that's negative 2. Move stuff over. Let's do a 6. Negative 4 plus half is going to be negative 3.5. So I just did negative 3.5. And then, so I have, that's the A, that's the B, that's the C. Plugged it in here. This number is smaller than that, so can't go any further than that. And I got undefined, which means if it's undefined, there's no solution. But because I'm a suspicious character, I think, oh, I must have done something wrong, so I'm going to try this a different way, just so that you can see that there is a totally different way of doing this. Last time, we solved for y and plugged it into the x. I want to solve this one for x and plug it in for the x. So with this bottom one, I can say I can just minus 2y. So I would get x is equal to negative 2y plus 6. I'm going to put this in place of that x right there. So we'd have y minus 5, that's the original thing, equals parentheses negative 2y plus 6, then minus 2 squared. And then, according to PEMDAS, I can see that I need to, inside the parentheses, I need to simplify things. So 6 minus 2 is 4. So it would be negative 2y plus 4 squared. To square something, that means I times it by itself. So I'm going to come over here and just do a little side note. Negative 2y plus 4 times negative 2y plus 4. Because I am timesing it by itself. So negative 2y times negative 2y is 4, positive 4y squared. Negative 2y times 4 is negative 8y. 4 times negative 2y is also negative 8y. And 4 times 4 is 16. So then it's going to be 4y squared. This thing plus this thing is negative 16y plus 16. So we still have y minus 5 equals, and again, if I'm going too fast, pause the video. 4y squared minus 16y plus 16. Okay, so I'm going to move the y's, so everything over to the same side. So minus y minus y plus 5 plus 5. So the same side is the positive y squared. So 0 is equal to 4y squared minus 17y plus 21. I'm going to use the quadratic formula again, where a is 4 this time, b is negative 17, c is 21. So I would put in my calculator that y equals, well, I don't need a y equals in my calculator. I would put in 17 plus or minus the square root of negative 17 squared minus 4 times 4, because that's the a is 4, times by 21, all over 2 times 4. And if I type that in, for the sake of time, I'm not going to do that. You can do that yourself. You will also notice you get undefined, defined, which means there's no solution. Okay, so that was number 10. Quickly going over everything that we did. So same steps that we had. So we solved one equation for x or y. We substituted it in right there. So this was our substituted part. Then we used PEMDAS to simplify it. So I had to simplify the stuff in the parentheses. Then I did the exponents by squaring things. Then once I had all that, there's no multiplication or division. So then all I had to do is add or subtract, which means combining like terms, because I want everything to be on the same side as the positive y squared. So I minus y, got negative 17, added 5, got 21. Then I have the a, the b, the c, figured those out, plugged it in, got undefined, no solution. So no matter which way we did it, the first way or the second way, which was all following those same 5 steps, I still got undefined, which is indeed no solution.